We got a lot going on in this world, don't we? These COVID restrictions are easing, many of them today on this first day of March, but do you feel comfortable showing your bare face? I don't. Seems like people get sick as soon as we let our guards down. And you know who else are spooked by COVID? There's one man who's very spooked by COVID. Russian President Vladimir Putin. He's so spooked by the disease that reports say he's been in severe isolation the past year and a half. Now, you thought you had the COVID blues. Check this out. The spooking of the disease has made this once a proud man so paranoid that he's believed to be acting irrationally. Irrationally enough to where he's invading a democratic nation that was minding its own business. See, COVID has started a whole war and could start a whole nuclear war. But my biggest takeaway is what happened on Saturday in the early throes of fighting in Russian-Ukrainian conflict. Ukrainian conflict, the troops were surrounded by Russians on a warship. And then this happened. That's right. Russian warship. Go fuck yourself. Seconds later, those soldiers got bombed. But guess what? We got reports today that those soldiers actually lived. Survived the thing better than Method Man did on a belly sequel. So they survived, telling the enemy to go fuck itself. Words to live by. Play my music. It's a Mardi Gras edition of the Shawn Show. Today on the show, sex educator Shae Alexander, MPH Dr. Barbara Walker, international developer Jamal Sayess. And of course, I'm joined by Ty. And Kim is coming with the code for Body Butter Bakery. In the end, the Shawn Says segment. Y'all some hoes. All right. So good to see everybody. Welcome to the show. This is Shawn's show. It's a de facto Women's History Month edition because it is March 1st and Women's History Month is the 1st of March. And I do have two lovely ladies that's going to join Ty and myself. But before we get to them, I'm going to pull up my favorite lovely ladies, our wonderful sponsor, Kim Dudley. Are you there? There she is.
Hey.
Speak of the devil, and she arrives. How you doing, sweetie?
I'm doing well. How about you?
I'm doing great. You look great. You gonna do some Mardi Gras or something? What you gonna do tonight?
No, none of that. I'm not a party person.
None of that, she says.
Mm-mm.
You ain't gonna party at all? You ain't gonna get out, get you a little something, some drink?
It's not a day for me. Maybe Cinco de Mayo, but today is just Tuesday for me.
Why do black folks love Cinco de Mayo so much?
I don't know. It's a thing.
It's
Just
just it's
drink
just
specials. I don't know.
the drink specials.
I'm
Well, what you got going on? So I see that you got this like, what you got? Vegan lip butter, lip balm. You've been working on. What you been working on over there?
Yes, I finally released my mango margarita lip balm. So it's been selling pretty well.
Mm. Mango margarita lip balm.
Yeah.
That's the only one that you got? Is there
No,
others?
I have strawberry mojito that's been around and peach sangria that's been around.
Strawberry mojito.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So do you make a mojito and then you like put some lotion in it and then you say like, all right, there's your lip balm. How do you do that?
No, I use a plant-based wax and then add the flavoring. There's no, I do make actual drinks for my promotional pictures, but I don't use them in the product. There is no liquor in the product. I'm sorry. Hate to disappoint.
Well, that's all the time we got for Kim today. Well, Kim, I don't want to take up too much of your time. We got a great show. How you feel about this COVID? So up here in DC, they have relaxed a lot of rules today. Like I went to the gym and this guy walked in front of me. Oh, no mask. And he was like all happy and cheery, and he was also something else too. But I'm like, well, I'm not there yet. So I had my Darth Vader mask on. What about you? Are you
Well,
ready
this
to
is
relax these rules?
Florida, so
Wait.
Florida has been wide open the whole time.
So y'all never had COVID in Florida?
I mean, in writing, but
You
I
said
mean,
in
we have the
writing.
numbers, we have the long lines at the clinics for rapid testing, we have all of that. But as far as public places, yeah, there are signs on the door that says strongly encouraged or please wear a mask. But this whole time, Florida's been Floridering.
Florida's been Florida. Well, we got a really good show tonight. Like I said, I got our sex education in the second hour, Shae Alexander.
Thank you.
But coming up in the
How you
bottom of this hour is Dr. Barbara Walker. She's a super public health genius and a dear friend of mine. Ty, what's going on?
What's going on? Guess what, y'all?
I hear reverb. What's going on?
I don't know. Guess what I got?
What you got?
Yeah.
Blam.
It came in the mail.
Okay.
Blam.
Okay.
I got that bay butter.
Ty got more stuff than I do.
I got that.
1 unit more.
The runway. I got that debonair. I got that coconut rum. I got that agua.
You got that credit card
I'm
bill.
gonna let the beard grow. No more shaving. I'm gonna let this beard grow.
You don't have to grow it out if you don't want to. You know, you can still use it on your head, moisturize your scalp so it don't be all flaky.
For sure. I'm gonna put this body butter to the test.
Now Ty can actually grow a beard. I haven't tried it in a while. It takes a second, but it does come in. But I usually I got a gig, so I don't have the time to like make it really do what it do. But Ty, you seem to like grow yours. I seen you got some pictures.
Nah, it took a while. It took a while, but you know.
Isn't it scratchy at first when it first
it
started
hurts.
going in?
It hurts.
Dang.
It does hurt, but you know, you got to push past it.
Well,
so that's what this body butter is for, you know.
I know that's right.
That's what the body butter is for.
So Ty got him some Body Butter Bakery male products. Look like you got a couple of female products in there too, didn't he, Kim? Is that?
No, I don't think so. Just the bay butter. You know, that's his business. Everything else is for the guys.
I just trying it out, you know.
You know. Sometimes when guys say they're just trying out some things for women,
just trying it out, you know.
Well, Kim, since you're in the lab, do you have something for us for tonight's show?
I do. A 50% off code. Wellness. Wellness is the 50% off code. Anything on the website, 50% off until midnight Eastern.
Right.
So wellness.
Yeah.
Wellness is the code. Now, what made you choose wellness tonight?
Well, Women's History Month, right? Right?
Why is Women's History Month got to do with wellness? Like, we always got to fix women.
Wait a minute.
Wow.
Wait a minute. We need to be concerned with our health, and we need to know our past and our family's history to
Yes, ma'am.
fix our future.
Yes, ma'am.
Sir.
Right. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
That's the boss, Ty. She tells me what to do.
Don't do that.
I'm putting it in now.
Oh,
The
gosh.
code is wellness, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And I'm putting it in capital letters, and it's going to be tagged here on the spot. That's it. It is on there now. Y'all get down on it. Support this product. It's pinned to the top in the comments. And we're off.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. Enjoy the show. And if you want to stop by later, give us a shout.
Yeah, I'm gonna hang in there because I want to see what this y'all hoes business about.
I only get 2 or 3 minutes.
Oh,
with them every
you
time.
mean what the y'all some hoes did?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Can't wait for that.
Man.
Yeah, I can't
We
wait
already
to
know
I
that
can't
after
wait
party
to
is going to be lit.
But no, we gotta get down. We gotta get down.
Is that what it is? You should have saw him last night. It had a delay on it. Oh, there you go. All right.
Oh, all right. Well, we gotta let you go, Kim, and we gonna get down to business. I don't know what just happened, y'all, but we're gonna get everybody back up here, and I'm putting back in the code because the Wi-Fi or something just went kaput. Just sit tight. We'll get the show back going. That's gonna be fun in the edits. Just hang tight. Just punching in the code right now. 50% off till midnight. All right, Ty, you back there? All right. We're almost up and running. I apologize for that, guys. I don't know what the heck happened. Everything just sort of went kaput. But we're up again, and as soon as I get my my co-host up, we'll get started with our first guest. Yeah, Kev, a lot of stuff of her stuff is sold out. You know, she is very good at what she does. Speaking of good at what they do, here comes Ty.
Yeah. What's good? Kim is popping in these streets. That's why.
Kim is popping in these streets. She is disconnecting joints, yo. Stuff is getting sold out. Yeah, that is a good thing. Hey, Miss Independent Woman. So, Ty, we're gonna talk for about 5-10 minutes real quick about this Ukraine situation.
It's probably why the internet went out.
You know what I'm saying? True story. So my podcast, The Great Recession, on how democracy broke its ass through accommodative errors, the mini series, it has a Russian component because
So I'm really trying this for the first time.
Oh, you doing that right now? Please don't hive up. That is bad for business. Please don't hive up. But I noticed that I had a bunch of, where you could chart who's watching or listening to a program, and only had one listener in Moscow.
Look at that. Look at that shine.
And I'm like,
got you.
Why is there someone in Moscow listening to me? It was kind of scary, actually.
They might be black.
No, there ain't no such thing as a black Russian unless you the Big Lebowski's like half brother that no one know about. They say don't be doing that live.
I know, I'm being silly right now.
We're flying in our boy right now, Jamal Sayess. If he accepts it, he'll be up so we can talk about this Ukraine business real quick, and then we'll bring on Dr. Barbara Matthews. Someone says you're glistening.
Yeah. It's the lights. The lights.
So what's that? The bay butter? Is that what that is?
It's the coconut rum. This is the one she told me to try first. I'm pretty sure. Oh, and this bay butter. Forgot about that.
of a sudden, live is acting up on me.
Tastes like the old, you know, that old school flavored chapstick.
Yeah.
That's what it tastes like a little bit.
Wait a minute.
The bay butter. But it's edible.
Well, but, okay. So it doesn't taste good. It smells like it tastes good.
Like the old school chapstick, yeah.
Hey, there he is.
What's going on?
Thank you for interrupting this ignorant ass conversation. Ladies and gentlemen, this is one thing about the show is that you have a Rolodex of friends who've done a lot of things. And this is my friend Jamal, who's into, what are you into, Jamal? How are you describing yourself tonight?
I'm international development professional. How about that?
Yeah, he's an international development professional. He's probably gone through, how many passports have you gone through, you think, Jamal?
Past wars?
Passports.
Oh, passports. No, I think I'm only on my third one. They last for 10 years, so it's kind of hard to go through them too much. But I did have a second one at one point, and that was only 2 years, so yeah, I'm on my third one.
So first of all, I'm going to congratulate you. You're the first non-Black person we've had on the Shawn Show, so congratulations. One of the ones to follow.
Yeah.
And secondly, fuck you and your many passports that you've gone through. But let's talk about this. So, you know what I thought was interesting?
Wait, am I getting body butter or anything? Do I get any of that?
You do not get any body. You can buy you some body butter. You see it's pinned at the top, 50% off until midnight. Code is wellness.
Wellness with one L?
Oh, wait a minute. Did I spell that wrong?
Yeah.
God.
You didn't the first time, but this
Body
time.
butter.
Yeah, the second time. Yeah,
but you spelled wellness wrong. Yes, you did.
I spelled wellness wrong. So I'll fix that after this interview.
Yeah.
But yeah, wellness with 2 L's, guys. That's my bad.
How's it going, Ty? How you doing, man?
I'm good. It's good to see you. What's up, Ty?
Ty, we met and we played golf, right?
No. You ain't played golf with Ty. That's another bald Black dude.
Oh, named Ty.
No, he is named Ty. That's true. That's another one. Yeah, but he's smaller than this one. You ain't met this Ty. This Ty's bigger than that Ty.
That was a year ago.
Anyway, so let's get on with it. All right, 20 seconds or less, Jamal, explain the bullshit in Ukraine. Go.
20 seconds or less?
Give me a minute. Give me a minute of Ukraine.
All right. Well, what's happening now is Russia is attacking Ukraine on 4 different fronts, from the north, from the east, and from the south, and then another area as well from the east. And they're going in because they're afraid of what's happening with the progression of NATO heading to the east. At least that's what they're saying is the concern. And then they're also, with propaganda, topping that up with saying that they're doing the denazification of Ukraine, which is a bit of a bold statement, given that it's a Jewish leader of the Ukrainian, Jewish Russian-speaking Ukrainian president. But it's something that's been brewing for a while. The troop buildup has been happening for about a year now at this point, until it's eventually spilled over. I think it was all of a threat to the West, to not agreeing that saying Ukraine should be taken off the table and not become a NATO country. And since the West has kind of not held firm on that and let Ukraine keep creeping in towards that direction, Vladimir Putin, who, like you said, has been isolated with COVID over the last year and a half, maybe is making different decisions than he would normally make. He's usually pretty pragmatic. Maybe he's capitalizing on the kind of depressed economies of the world, nobody wanting to get into another war or support a true war against, anybody does want to go into direct combat with Russia. So he's maybe seizing the opportunity. But all that's being said, it did what nobody thought was going to happen, even the international experts, everybody who's been following this, to actually go ahead and go into Ukraine. And he's gone beyond just the East, which has been under kind of rebel control. That's really been Russian-supported rebel control ever since 2014, when Russia annexed Crimea. And they're spreading out, and now they're close to Kiev, the capital of Ukraine. They're coming in from the south, from Korea, the areas that they occupied back in 2014. And now the real question is what will happen next. I think Russia actually met a lot of resistance from the Ukrainians, like you're talking about the folks on Snake Island. Thank God that hearing that they actually didn't all get bombarded and blown up.
Dude, they did like a Michael Bay montage and kicked their ass for 5 days. Like
So
they were doing like little booby trap shit, and they were like knocking them off course. Like the Russians are getting stuck in the mud. They're leaving artillery in crazy places. It's like really weird. So like this is supposed to be one of the top 4 militaries in the world.
yeah,
Ty, you want to get in
yeah,
on
I was
this?
gonna ask, like, what's the end goal? Because they're not gonna get much farther than Ukraine, right? So eventually they're
No,
gonna run into Hungary and Romania.
I mean,
So
Putin isn't crazy enough to attack a NATO country because that
yeah,
brings all of the NATO countries and the United States
yeah.
to support that. I,
And there are
the angle is to send a message to NATO to saying, hey, this stops where it is right now and it doesn't expand into Ukraine. I think that's the message. What I think is going to happen is fighting will intensify over the next, in the near future, for the next few weeks, until the Ukrainians actually give up and give into some sort of peace talk negotiations, which will include them saying that they will never join NATO. And then
so
Ukraine will kind of
okay,
become a default neutral country in the region.
all right.
I
So
think
it's
is where
not
it
just
will end. And then how
okay.
far Russia will pull back is another question. I think they'll probably pull back, still holding Donetsk and Luhansk in the east, is what I'm guessing, since it was already rebel controlled to this point.
All right. So they're already struggling with logistically. So I imagine the goal wasn't to keep and just take over Ukraine, or just
No,
to
I
send a
don't.
message.
I mean, nobody thought he would attack, so maybe. So I don't think anybody thinks he will take over all of Ukraine. I think what he will do is install a puppet regime before he leaves, which will be part of those peace negotiations as well. So essentially, controlling Russia controlling Ukraine like it was prior to the Maidan uprising in 2014.
Should we care about
Okay.
this other than our gas prices?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to see how the world will react to something like this. So it's kind of setting a precedent. I think Crimea was setting a precedent in 2014 when that happened. People were like, "Whoa, this is a sovereign nation. Somebody's just going in and annexing." Like, we haven't rewrote the maps in a long time since that happened.
But the only reason this is really frightening is because Russia is nuclear, right? Like Putin's even talking about maybe even using a nuclear weapon.
Not even
Yeah,
worried.
but that's
What's that? You say you're not worried?
I'm not worried. I mean, logistically,
Well, put
like
it
he would be stuck there, right? That means he would just
but
die right there.
we're talking about, well, if he fires a nuclear weapon, I mean, there's nothing that they got that we can't deal with as Americans as a force, but the detonation of a nuclear bomb with the sizes that they are now, I mean, that could send shockwaves across the globe and already make our climate terrible, right?
well,
But I
the
think
fallout.
Not to
eventually
mention
be
the
over.
hundreds of thousands of casualties, possibly.
Yeah, it's going to be over for a lot of people if he decides to go that route. So I doubt it.
Yeah, I doubt it as well. I agree.
But you know, like when suckers start losing, you know, like they lose a fist fight, which is conventional warfare, they want to go get a gun. And that's what Putin seems like he's itching to get a gun because he got kicked in the nuts the first 5 days.
But that'd be like
Yeah.
committing suicide too, though. You know?
But I think actually that's going to be unfortunate for the Ukrainians that they did put up such strong resistance, which means Russia, to get to their message, whatever their end goal is going to be, they're going to have to step up the airstrikes, which I think they've been holding back on. They were trying to just waltz in there, I think, with the tanks and the ground troops, met all the resistance, and there wasn't really heavy bombardment from the sky in a lot of these places like you'd see, you know, what Russia is capable of carpet bombing cities and things like that. Now what you're going to see is more of an intensive air campaign from Russia because they met resistance, which I think is going to be, you know, more tragic, more loss of life in the near term.
Thanks, Jamal.
Yeah.
How do you see this? You know what I found interesting, so I want you to answer this. Not getting too deep into your own political views, but there were like a handful of nations that didn't reprimand the action of Russia, and one of them that was really slow or mealy mouth was Israel.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
Now both countries have relations with Israel, but I was wondering, do you think that has something to do with Israel always not liking to, but often making military campaigns into Palestinian territories and Arab territories for certain things? Or
But I haven't read too much into it. There's some similarities there. The countries that Israel gets support from, apart from the United States, are few and far between, I think, at that superpower level. So even if they're neutral at best with Russia, Israel is pretty pragmatic with international relations. They're probably just do nothing at best. But there is a Jewish population in Ukraine, a historical Jewish population there that is being affected. And there's, I don't know, maybe that was Putin saying it's the denazification of Ukraine. Maybe that's it, trying to clear the way and being like, hey, I'm doing this for you guys.
it's so stupid. It's so stupid. That's the dumbest thing.
Yeah, but that is actually, something. And
They
the point
literally.
I'd like to make.
I'm sorry. Like today, they literally struck a radio tower that hit a historic Holocaust site in Ukraine.
Yeah.
And they're denazifying shit.
Yeah, but it's a line, right? I mean, it's
Yeah.
eerily similar to saying that, I don't know, Iraq has weapons of mass destruction. Something that at that time too was something that, just wasn't true. It was a blatant lie. But then, the United States used that as a pretense to invade Iraq with international support. And this is not exactly the same case, but there are similarities there. And it's kind of funny to see the United States say, how could Russia be so bold to do something like this? And, the United States doesn't have to look too far back in their own history to them doing some pretty similar things in the Middle East.
Yeah, well, like the second Iraq war is a little problematic, but
yeah,
there was some build up to that. I thought this one was just, I don't know. It's all a sucky ass situation.
It was certainly building the troops to this one.
Well, we're not sending troops in there because we don't want to start World War III.
Yeah. Well, now, maybe.
Do you think World War III will start, Ty, if we were to enact a no-fly zone? You're the military guy here. Like the Ukrainian president wants a no-fly zone. That means we have to have our pilots guard latitudes, and if anything violates that, we have to shoot at Russian planes. You think that's going to actually be a go?
I think it would have to be, what would we get from doing that? Like, what are we going to benefit from doing that? I don't think there's a lot of benefit there.
Yeah, that's a realist.
That amount of money, lives, just to patrol airspace over Ukraine. Nah, but then that would also mean that there's a threat between us and Putin now, just for us, physically jumping in like that.
Yeah, that's an escalation, right?
Well, it's kind of like, I got beef with somebody, but I don't have beef with you. But you're going to stand there in the middle and say, hey, I don't have no beef with you either, but I will have beef if you decide to do something. So that means I got beef with you now. Right?
Right. Well, the other thing, too, is that not only is it a nuclear power, which is why we should pay attention, but this is in Europe, and it's a European war. So it's a white-ass war. Like, they're fighting on other continents.
That's the other thing that's real scary to a lot of people, is that it's white people invading white people.
Yeah, like they don't do that in the modern era. Like, that's some new shit. Like, hey, I thought we had an agreement. We keep it white and be cool.
They got a swatch. They're like, if you're just shade or below, then good to go.
We call that the brown bag test, Jamal, where I'm from. So,
like Stephen A. say, hey, we don't care. But no,
I don't think it's gonna. I mean, I don't see it escalating to that level. I think Putin is gonna get what he wants. There's gonna have detrimental impacts to his economy, but they'll recover like they did with the sanctions are more intense than they were in 2014 when he attacked Crimea, but they recovered from that without any real issue. And I think the same thing will happen. It might take a little bit longer, but the message is loud and clear, and I think that's all he wants to get across.
Yeah, I'm okay with the message. I just thought it would look better. I expected more. I expected more organization. I expected better logistics. You know, I expected it to be a little bit more, I don't want to say stealthy, because it's hard to move that many troops and be stealthy about it. But it was pretty much, it seemed like a show of force,
Yeah,
really.
sure.
It wasn't really strategic, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, if it was us, we would have just put holes in those roads and then they would have been stuck.
And they would have been
Right?
stuck. Yeah.
So
Well,
I don't know
it's
why
interesting, right? They haven't bombed
Yeah.
their energy sources. They haven't cut the supplies.
Yes.
The first attack they
Yes.
did today was their first strike on communications. You know, with that tower, that TV tower in Kiev. They haven't
Yeah.
done that stuff. It is a bit strange. It's like that. But you know, with Russia, the only person who truly knows what's going on is Putin. I mean,
Yeah.
it's truly an autocratic state. Yeah. But I'm sad to see that Ty is disappointed with how Russia is
Oh,
attacking.
no. I didn't mean it that way. I didn't mean it like I
You let me
expected
down,
death
Russia.
and destruction. No, I definitely didn't mean it that way. I'm kind of happy that, you know, they're going in it, you know, at this rate. I do think it's going to be bad. I do worry about, you know, the civilians that are going to have to pay, and the fact that they're afraid, the fact that there are, you know, other people that live in Ukraine that are trying to get out, that are struggling to get out. So I worry about that. I worry about what the tensions are going to be amongst the races that are there. I imagine there's going to be some type of hierarchy that takes place there when it comes time to, you know, have to move out, have to, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Have to set priority on who gets the resources first in order to leave. Who's going to get the first flights out? Who's going to be on the first convoys? Who's going to get the protection? Those are the type of things that I worry about.
Well, we're running along on time, but I want to thank you, Jamal, for coming through. Gotta let you go because we got to get
Damn,
Doc Walker in on here. But thank you for the discussion. You made us all smarter, I think.
Yeah. Oh, and it'll be interesting to see Biden's State of the Union tonight, to see the response to that as well. So,
well, we got to be
but
talking.
do
sex
not
over
tune
here.
into
Yeah.
that in 15 minutes.
Yeah.
We gotta be talking sex and shit.
I have a feeling we know how that's going to go, right? You know how it's going to go.
Yeah,
That's gonna be a good topic.
Support, believe in us. God bless America.
And Putin, he's gonna breathe hard because Biden always breathing hard. All right. Well, thanks so much,
Good
Jamal.
Jay.
Appreciate you, man.
All right, good talking to you.
On this?
Thanks, brother.
See you.
Later. Bye. All right.
That was good, man.
That was
Had to
heavy.
chop it up a little bit.
Chopped it up a little bit. We got that going. Gonna try to get Doc Walker in here now.
Yeah, everybody say they want war until it's time to go to war.
Till it says the soldier, right?
Yeah.
Because you know more than anybody else on here.
If you've ever been, you would never want that shit ever.
Mm-hmm.
And it's more about the people, especially because you know, we were exiting Afghanistan, and we did it abruptly. And you know, I have some friends that own there's a site called NoOneLeft.org,
Mm-hmm.
and it's essentially the interpreters that have been helping us for over 10 years. And with our exit, we pretty much left them there.
We cocked it up. Like
You know?
that was really.
Yeah, think about like the young women that were planning on going to college and stuff. And now they have zero protection. Zero. And we're just like, my bad.
That is, you know, that's the other thing. I mean, like, it's our word. We spent so much time there just to like screw that up.
Mm-hmm.
Hey,
For
Ty,
sure.
look who flew in here. There she is.
Hey.
Dr. Walker.
Hi.
I think you just flipped your camera around.
Uh-oh. I don't know what I'm doing.
It ain't showing no contraband. While she's figuring out shit, this is Dr. Barbara Walker. She's currently the founder and owner of a web-based health info platform, Ask Your Friendly Doctor, which was founded to help women, minorities, LGBTQ individuals, and other marginalized groups to make sure they receive appropriate health care. She has a master's of public health from Johns Hopkins University. Ooh. with a specialty in health policy and is currently providing care on the campus of Norfolk State University, particularly on COVID issues. And that's not her only HBCU tie. Doc has degrees from University of Maryland and Mercer University, but she matriculated undergrad at the Spelman University. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome my longtime friend, Dr. Barbara Walker.
Hello. Thank you
see,
for inviting me, Shawn.
You see, there's a wall full of degrees.
Yeah, I got all the degrees.
3 bald people and a bunch of degrees.
Speaking of bald, let's get some of this body butter.
Yep. So we got Ty is so ecstatic that he got himself some body butter bakery. So we got the tag plug there, right there on the chat. www.bodybutterbakery.com. 50% off. Code is wellness, and I spelled it correct this time. Wellness, WELLNES. Until midnight tonight. Doc Walker, I wanted to ask you about a number of things. Want to get this COVID thing out the way, but then I was really interested about something about the fibroids issue. But COVID, today, go to the gym. DC has lifted their mask mandates. A lot of other states and cities have lifted their mask mandates. And seem like people think that Omicron was the last real hurrah. What can you tell us about what you see this virus doing? And can we be safe not wearing a mask if you're inoculated or what have you? Your thoughts.
So public health people to some degree and politicians to a great degree are sort of playing the odds, right? When the COVID rates go low, your risk of catching it go low, but they don't go away, right? So if you're a person who's fully vaccinated and you've had your booster and COVID rates are low, you can pretty much frolic.
Frolic? You say
yes,
frolic?
You can frolic.
You know, it is Fat Tuesday. Negroes are frolicking as we speak.
As is appropriate. As we must frolic.
Les les bon temps roulé.
Yes, frolicking is good for the soul.
But so that's if you're in that case. But the other case,
right,
if you're not.
Right. But the but is if you're not vaccinated, or if you're vaccinated and you have a weak immune system, so the vaccine's not going to have as much punch for you as it does everybody else, you still need to be cautious. Because just because instead of 100 people in the room having COVID, only 10 have it, that doesn't mean you can't catch it. That just means it's less likely that you'll catch it. And you have to know your audience too. So if you go to an event where it's vaccinated only, then of course probably nobody in there has COVID, so you can like pretty much do whatever, right? But if you're like at a concert and you don't know what anybody else is doing with their lives, and I promise you people go to concerts knowing they have full-blown COVID, if you are not vaccinated, you can still catch it. It hasn't gone anywhere. You still got around 2,000 people a day dying from it. There's still a gazillion people in the hospital, so it's not gone. It's just better.
I have a question for the audience. Being asymptomatic, can you explain that?
Yeah. So if you have a boss immune system, your body is able to, like the minute the virus hits your nose, your body is able to say, dude, you're not coming in here, right? But the virus is still in your nose. So if you sneeze or cough or anything like that, you're going to spread it into the air and it can get on somebody else. Even though it's never going to invade your body or make you sick, you can still make somebody else sick.
So you have mentioned something about it not going away. Like, I feel like it's never going to go away. That people are going to always be afraid, and it makes me think that I should have invested in the testing market.
Well, it's not a bad thing to invest in, I don't think, but it's not going away anytime soon. But what's going to happen is we'll master it, okay? So this has only been out like 2 years, right? We've got a vaccine that works pretty good, but it's not perfect because, like I said, if you don't have a really strong immune system, it doesn't take well, and it only lasts for about 6 months. They're not willing to come out and straight up say that out loud in public yet, but that's the truth of the matter. It really only lasts about 6 months. You really need to get a booster about every 6 months. Eventually, they're going to admit that, and they'll start telling people to get their boosters again 6 months after your last one. but that's probably what we're looking at. But for perspective, the
We don't get sick.
right. And it goes away by itself every summer. So if it did
Yeah.
go away by itself every summer, you need a flu shot twice a year. So for perspective, but yeah, it's not going anywhere. We'll get better vaccines. There's already one in the works. That's a nasal vaccine.
I saw that one.
Yeah, it actually seems to work better than the injection form. And so that's on the horizon, and there'll be new therapies that will come out that are more effective at treating people once they have it. We really don't have anything really good right now for treatment. The best we've got is about 70%. That's the best we got. And that's just to keep you out of the hospital if you get the treatment. Once you get to the point of needing to be in the hospital, we still are basically at 50-50 odds that you're going to die.
Are natural antibodies better than the antibodies you receive from the vaccine? A lot of people say,
no.
Okay, I already had COVID. That's what I was, okay.
Yeah, the short answer is no.
Thank you, doctor.
The long answer is the antibodies you get from natural infection are variable. They depend on the amount of virus you're exposed to and which protein your body decides to use to kill it. So it's not predictable what kind of immunity you're going to get from a live infection. When you get the vaccine, scientists have sat there and parsed out which protein is the most effective one to make an antibody to kill this virus. So you're going to make exactly the right antibody that you need to fight the virus consistently, and you're going to make a consistent amount. So if you only get, let's say you're lucky and one virus makes its way into your nose and you make an antibody to that, you're not going to get huge levels. You see what I'm saying? Whereas when you get the vaccine, you're getting a set amount that's designed to trigger the appropriate response. So it's your natural immunity is unpredictable. You might be protected, you might not, but the vaccine is very reliable as far as what it does,
You see, this is why I like having people who know what the hell they're talking about on things like this. I wasn't gonna do the Shawn show unless I have people who study
I
these things.
appreciate that. Don't be like some people that I'm not going to name their name. They find some guy in the alley. I used to be a doctor one time. They took my license. I don't know why. That's who you're asking questions. Okay. All right.
That one time. Is there anything else we should know about COVID moving forward that you see on the horizon or right now before we go into something that I know a great deal of our audience is really curious about, and that's the fibroids conversation. But anything else about COVID you can think of or how we should treat this moving forward? As far as what's going to be considered normal and this whole thing about endemic, what does all that mean?
What's important is to be nimble, okay? It's not going away, but in every community, it's going to have its ups and downs. Right now is a good moment to frolic. It's down almost everywhere in the country because everybody got Omicron. So everybody has some level of antibody right now. There isn't a lot circulating in the environment. If you were going to have a moment that you were going to get on Tinder and do random stuff, this is the moment to do it because the rates are pretty low, right? But I promise you.
She just gave us summer of love. She just gave us summer of love, Ty. So she said just go buck wild.
More like
spring. Doc said it gets down. There's other diseases out there, or are they on holiday too, Doc? Is that right?
Chlamydia is still here, for the record.
Damn.
It didn't go anywhere.
Go ahead.
And it does not have a vaccine. That would be useful, right? If you could get a chlamydia vaccine, that would be some useful stuff.
We probably wouldn't have Russia invading Ukraine.
We probably wouldn't. That's probably what's wrong with Putin. He's got untreated chlamydia that's been festering for years. I don't know.
That explains his hairline.
Yeah.
You got anything, Ty, before we move on?
No, I think you asked the questions about, where do you see it going? I asked about being asymptomatic, and you had answered some questions because the family, we were together for Christmas. And what was weird is that, my mom and my sister shared a room, and my brother and I shared a room, and I got nothing, but my brother said it almost took him out. And then we got home, my sister felt nothing, but my mom said she got sick, and my mom was vaccinated. My Me and my sister were both vaccinated with the booster, and for the longest time, I've been walking around confident, about my health, about the immune system, only because I feel like I may have gotten it when it first came out,
So,
years ago.
so immunity,
Hmm.
natural immunity to COVID only
Hmm.
lasts reliably about
Hmm.
6 months, and after one
Okay.
year, it's completely gone.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
what happened like a year or more ago, it doesn't make any difference. But
Okay.
you are a healthy guy. And so your body is gonna make a lot of antibodies when you get the vaccine. So your level of protection would be higher than say your mom's for sure. And
Hmm.
so that may be the difference. If you look at a young, healthy person
Hmm.
that's fully vaccinated and boosted, when they get COVID, they sneeze for 2 days and then they're fine.
Okay.
Like
Yeah.
it's really not a big
Yeah.
deal.
So
Yeah.
the thing is, my brother wasn't vaccinated,
Oh yeah.
and
Aha!
It
he's
still
stubborn.
kills people.
Aha!
He's
It's still
stubborn.
it yeah, it's still
Yeah.
killing
We were
people. And
very
like don't get it
frustrated.
twisted. They
Yeah.
like to say, "Oh, well, Omicron was less lethal than Delta." Well, part of that is because we had people vaccinated.
Right.
So,
Right. But
Like
yeah.
still, young, healthy people, it's still taking them out as
Oh yeah.
well.
And not so much killing them, okay?
Hmm.
So this is the thing I think a lot of people don't get too. So if you look at young healthy people, they don't normally die of COVID.
Yeah. Yeah.
They wind up fucked up from COVID.
Yeah. 20
They
pounds
wind
lighter.
up with now they have
they get some
COPD or
long
asthma.
COVID, right? This is a
Yeah.
long COVID
Yep,
thing
they
for
wind up with long COVID. They can't walk to their mailbox. They are disabled. They can't provide for their
Hmm.
families. It doesn't usually kill young people, but I promise you it ruins plenty of lives. 25, 30-year-olds, 40-year-olds' lives just ruined because now they need a heart transplant or a lung transplant or, whatever. They lost a leg, they had a
Okay.
stroke, they had a heart attack, all kinds of stuff. So,
Okay.
yeah.
I got one more good question. What do you say to people who say that they don't trust the vaccine?
So I'll be honest with you. When it first came out, I was giving
this.
it side eye.
This is true. This is a true
Okay.
thing. I talked to her
Okay.
about it. She was in Hawaii. She's like, I don't know.
So
I
Doc is
got
giving it the
I got
side eye,
vitamins
huh?
and shit. And like, oh, wait a minute, Barbara. But yeah,
Well,
this is a true story.
At first, because
At
they'd only
first,
tested like out of like all the vaccines put together, they tested about 50,000 people, and that was it. And you
Johnson and
start
Johnson tested it 3 times and said, let's do it.
they just asked some people about it. I don't even know. But anyway, yeah, but now we literally did a real-time live study. And at this point, hundreds of millions of people have gotten this vaccine. And if it had any significant problems other than what we already know about, it would have come out by now. So now I pretty much have 100% confidence in this vaccine if you are a normal, healthy human being. Okay? If you have health issues, and like if you've had a heart attack before, or you get blood clots easily, or you've got issues, you probably should talk to your doctor before you get it. Not to say you shouldn't get it, but there are precautions you need to take when you get it if you have certain health conditions.
Mhm.
So definitely, if you have health issues, you still should get the vaccine, but you should talk to your doctor about what you need to do to stay safe when you get the vaccine.
What you
You know what
laughing
I,
at over there? What are you laughing at over
you
there?
know what I think is funny is that after all this time, after all the death and destruction that we've seen, there's still a lot of people who don't have answers
I know.
and haven't done the research.
Right. Well, and this is the thing. Most people don't know how to do research.
Hmm.
We have like whole segments of time in medical school where we do nothing but learn how to interpret research. Like
Hmm.
it's like pretty much it's like intertwined throughout the whole thing, but we have like a 6-week block of learning to interpret
Hmm.
research. Like these people who say, well, I'm just going to do my own research and come to my own decisions, and they haven't been trained to do that, and they don't know how to tell if information is valid or not. They don't even know what peer reviewed means. So any
Mhm.
Yahoo can say anything and they'll just jump all over it. But it's
Mhm.
not because they're stupid. It's because they haven't been taught how to research. And I
Okay.
don't fault them for that. But at the same time, you got to know your limitations. So if you know that you don't really know what you're doing, you need to listen to
You
somebody.
listen to somebody. Yeah.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be me. It could be if you've been seeing the same doctor for 2 or 3 years and you trust that doctor, ask them. Ask somebody you know and trust what they think about it, because going it on your own and just figuring out for yourself when you aren't trained and you don't have any kind of science background, that's idiocy. Like, just straight up.
Oh, people, it's not
She
idiocy.
needs
Some
some
people are
milk.
just like, people are just lazy. Some people are
Well,
just
there's
lazy.
that too, but
Yeah.
I'm not gonna try to fix my car myself. You know, I'm not
Mhm.
going to go out there and be like, oh, well, you know, car is a car. I can repair
Mhm.
this car. I don't know anything about repairing cars. Well, I look like trying to tell, how am I going to figure out how to fix my own car? And I can barely put oil in the car. Okay.
That's another topic, Barbara. Speaking of another topic, let's move on then. A friend of mine saw this, I think it was on Lifetime, some special regarding, excuse me, fibroids in Black women. And I think she was spooked by a stat that she heard 80% of Black women will have some sort of fibroid issue by the age of 50. Can you validate that? And tell us why is that an issue if that's the case?
I can't say if it's that high, but it's very, very high.
Really?
It's certainly more than half. Will have problems with fibroids at some point by the time they go through menopause. And it's not real clear the whys. It's not 100% clear the whys, but I can say that you're more likely to have problems with fibroids if you're overweight. You're more likely to have problems with fibroids if you start your periods young. And you're more likely to have problems with fibroids if you have certain environmental exposures. So it's like a thing where some people are probably, African American women may be set up more to get fibroids, you know what I'm saying, based on their environment, based on weight-based things, that kind of thing. But I don't know that anybody's ever figured out why women of color have more issues with fibroids.
Is it kind of like a, well, I guess you don't know.
I
Is
think
it
it could
similar
be
to sickle cell though?
environmental, it could be trust, it could be resources, it could be, a lot of things. It could be support from the community, support from the family, or just doctors just kind of purposely blowing them off and not
Well,
necessarily treating them and paying as much attention to Black women as they would everyone else.
well, now that does happen too. But I think even all things considered, the rate of fibroids in African American women is probably at least 1.5 times higher than it is in Caucasian women. And I think
Mhm.
environment has a lot to do with it. Diet probably has a lot to do with it. And weight is a
Ali-
big thing. The weight thing
Aaliyah,
is huge, no pun intended.
you just did it though. Aaliyah just said, could it be
And I
tied to
do it again.
you do it again. The trip was worth it. Aaliyah asked, could it be tied to generational trauma? Are there psychosomatic things that could be
So there's a
involved
lot
with
of
this?
research going on right now about the effect of generational trauma. It actually changes your DNA. The things that your great grandparents went through actually changes your DNA.
Mhm.
So your
I believe it.
DNA is not what it would have been had your grandparents not gone through what they went through. But this is sort of like an evolving science, right? So certainly generational trauma could have a lot to do with a lot of the things that African Americans experience at a higher rate.
I have a question about the fibroids. If they were affecting you, would you know it? Is there something
Oh
that you
yeah.
feel physically?
Oh yeah, you're not
Um,
gonna miss that. It's no fun.
okay,
Okay.
okay.
Is it akin to men and kidney stones? I hope I
Nah.
never get that.
So
That sounds terrible.
Is it like
normally the
a,
first thing women will experience with fibroids is the crime scene periods, I like to call them. Like where
hey,
you
okay,
can't keep up with your, like you change your tampon in your pad and 30 minutes later you need to change it again. You know, sometimes 15 minutes later you have to change it again. And you stand up from, if you see a woman and she stands up and she pauses for a minute,
and then
Hmm.
she looks behind herself, she probably has fibroids
What,
because
what,
she's
what,
used
what's
to
she looking for behind herself? What she
blood.
looks. Oh,
Yep, she's used to standing up and getting a big gush of blood flow and it going through her pad and tampon and everything else and
Hmm.
needing to go change her clothes.
Hmm.
So
we are two men here listening to Dr. Barbara Walker
No, this
you
is good stuff.
getting down, giving us
This is good
giving
stuff.
us the answers to what we all need to know
Yeah,
about
I have a
women's
daughter.
health issues. And
This is good.
Ty has a daughter. I do not, but we need to get these answers out the way, and that's why it's. I just want to say it's 6 past the hour, and we got Shae Alexander. She's coming up in about 5 minutes. If you can hold up, Shae. But we got a few more moments with Dr. Barbara Walker. And she was talking to us about fibroids and some of the things that you look for if you have them and all that. If you can continue, Barbara, sorry.
so the crime scene periods is a tell, and also pain, like not just regular menstrual cramp pain. Take an ibuprofen and you're fine. Like really severe, excruciating cramping pain during your cycle. And you were right. Like African American women get blown off.
That's
Like
what I was about to say. Like parents might do that too. Like she just has heavy periods or something. But
right.
it could literally be fibroids.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Mm.
It could literally be fibroids. And we get accused of drug seeking. We get accused of, just trying to get out of work or whatever. You just want a work excuse. And it can sometimes take years before an African American woman will even get an ultrasound to see what's going on.
Wow.
So it's really important to advocate for yourself.
Do they regress after menopause? Sherry asked that question.
They typically do. Like, and I don't even know. Well, so let me just say it depends. Okay, so if you've got a little, small, like plum-sized fibroid, right? That'll regress after you stop having periods. It won't give you any more trouble. But if you've got a big old cantaloupe-sized fibroid, there's not that much regression in the world.
Oh.
So even if it regresses, it's still going to be the size of a softball. So it's like it's kind of got to go.
Did you say softball-sized fibroids?
Yeah, I've seen small watermelon-sized fibroids.
So I know I might be a little, what's the word, naive asking this question, but it says a hysterectomy is the only way to cure fibroids.
So it depends on where it is.
Mm-hmm.
So if the fibroid is embedded in the muscle or like on the outside wall that faces your intestines and everything, if your fibroids are in those areas, you can you often have to have a hysterectomy to get to those. But if they are fairly superficial in the womb, so if they're accessible through the womb, sometimes you can actually just take the fibroid out. Like you don't have to take the whole uterus out. You can just take the fibroid out if it's located in an area that's like amenable to that.
Okay.
So it doesn't always mean necessarily a hysterectomy. There is actually a procedure women who still want to have kids can get, even when it's in the muscle lining. Sometimes they'll go through the trouble of trying to get it out without taking the whole uterus when women still want to have kids.
Ty, we are learning so much today.
Yeah, I am. This is good.
I will
now
take.
it could be like, I could do a healthy diagnosis. Be like, girl, that's fibroids. Go get that checked out. You might want to consider a hysterectomy and having children.
Ty just gonna be
what that
saying shit.
means.
He just gonna be saying shit. You got some hysterectical fibroids here. Like wait,
No,
wait.
man.
You got what? You got some
No.
hysterical fibroids. Hysterical? They telling jokes?
No, man.
Doc, anything else you could like drop some knowledge with? Real quick, because I gotta let you go. But the courage it took for you to shave your head, and how do you feel since you've done it? Because a lot of women, they were first commenting, "Oh, it's beautiful," because they saw you, and you're still rocking it. Because I knew you back in the day. You had these long, fresh locks. So talk about that real quick, if you could.
So when I first, so I had this happen once when I was younger. After I had my second son, I had a bout with hair loss, and but it was temporary. So it like Like a lot of my hair fell out. I cut it really short. It grew back. It was fine, right? But this time it's different, and it's probably not coming back. At least not most of it. And I had a choice to make, right? So my new reality became that you're not going to be able to wear your own hair. I don't like wigs. They're uncomfortable. Like, I will wear them sometimes, like if it's cold. I wear them like they're a hat. Like my head is cold.
Like a hoodie. Give me my hoodie. You mean this Tina Turner wig right here?
Yes, exactly. Ooh, it's cold. Let me put a wig on. But and I like to be free. I like to be active. I like to swim. I like to run. I like to do stuff. And like I can do it. Matter of fact, this is a liberator, really. Because now if I want to swim or run or do whatever, I don't have hair to do. My hair routine remains exactly the same. In the shower, shave, do it. But it took some getting used to. When I first cut it all off, first of all, I didn't know what my head looked like. Because, I'd never actually seen like what my head looked like without hair, So it was kind of like, I might have a big old lump or something. But then when I cut it off and I didn't have like a weird lumpy head or anything like that, it was kind of
It's
like,
I look
okay,
kind of good. I'm fine.
yeah, I'll be okay. I just got to get used to it, and it's gonna be fine. It took a while for me to get used to people looking at me oddly. And what I learned is if I wear makeup or if I'm dressed nice, people think I'm like some kind of celebrity, so they stare. And then if I don't wear makeup, if I'm like in sweatpants with no makeup, then they think I have cancer. So it took a while to get used to. Pretty much everywhere you go, you get some kind of reaction from people from not having hair. But, it's not a big deal. I am so much more than my hair. Like, I got all these damn degrees.
You got two great sons. You got a great family.
Right. And my son got nominated for his first Oscar last year. What are you talking about? What am I gonna be sweating my hair for?
Is he still in Australia? I haven't caught up with
he's
you.
still in Australia.
He's still in Australia. He loves it down there, doesn't he?
Oh man, I don't think that boy's ever coming home.
Well, let's get this question in here real quick, and then we gotta let you go on this one. First home tuber asks, do you feel hysterectomies are suggested more times than needed? Is that a second opinion piece? What do you think on that?
Yeah, probably. Because it's just easier. And honestly, I have never met the woman who had a hysterectomy that was like, what I really want is my uterus back. I hadn't met that woman. Like, people are so relieved when they get a hysterectomy. It's not even funny. Even people who think they don't want one, after they get it, it's like, why the hell didn't I do this 20 years ago? Like, I so should have done this. Like, I've been dealing with all this pain and all this hemorrhaging for all these years, and I could have just done this. I did all that suffering for nothing. That's like almost unanimously what people say. But a lot of people don't get offered the other options. So like there are other reasons to have miserable cycles other than just fibroids, and there are often options shy of a hysterectomy, like something called an ablation, that can help with the bad cramps and pain and, all of that stuff and the heavy bleeding. But a lot of times women don't even get offered those options. It's just, oh, you should just have a hysterectomy. And some doctors will even say, well, getting an ablation is like a waste of time. It's like, we know the problems with your uterus. You don't want to have any more kids. Just get it taken out. And it's not as simple as that either. It's kind of like that's an organ that God gave you for a reason. And things don't always function the same after you have a hysterectomy. A lot of women will wind up going into early menopause from a hysterectomy. Some women have vaginal dryness after hysterectomy and don't enjoy sex as much. So it's not always just just get rid of it and nothing's going to change. Something does change. Not for everybody, but for some women, things do change. So it's not a decision you make lightly, just get rid of it. But at the same time, for most women, the good definitely outweighs the bad. So
Well, I got to leave it there. Once again, this is my longtime friend, Dr. Barbara Walker, who celebrated a birthday
Yep,
recently.
the big
And
5-1,
the big 5-1. Your husband celebrated a birthday a couple of days before that. Is that
the
right?
big 6-0.
The big 6. Oh, she can't wait to say that shit. So, yeah. Tell G I said what's up, and thank you all so much for your time. I appreciate you as usual. You always dropping knowledge. That's Dr. Barbara Walker. She is the founder of, what is it? adocfriend.com.
Adocfriend.com. Ask your friendly doctor. It's basically a website where you can go and get information if you've already been to the doctor and you feel like your questions haven't been answered, or if you feel like you just want to hear somebody else's take on it. You can upload your medical documents, pay me a fee, and I'll give you a full report and make recommendations for you.
Thank
I
you
also
so much.
do malpractice
Yes.
case reviews and disability case reviews.
So if you're ready to sue some shit, you know, like that's what you really want to say. So if you want to sue some shit, I might look over your case to see if you got a case.
Right.
Thank you again, Barbara. Appreciate
All right. Thank
you.
you for inviting me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Y'all
Y'all
take
have a
care.
good night.
All right.
So we're gonna
Yeah.
find Shae in a second.
I'm 45 years old, and I just Googled, where is the uterus?
I'm so glad she left
What?
right as you said that.
What
I'm
is
so
the
glad she
uterus?
left as soon as you said
No, I was like, is it the whole thing? Is it a little piece of it? Is it the, you know? I'm looking at the pictures and stuff.
we just some 45-year-old bros trying to figure out this thing
Trying to
called
get
life.
educated.
Trying to get educated, you know?
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, my
this-
daughter's turning 13, so
it's for
we
you,
already
but it's also for all of us. We just
we
trying to
having
get
them
some.
questions already.
So while we're waiting for Shae to join us, our sex education therapist, to join us in a moment.
Yo, I
This is a
do
good
got a
time to
funny
just
story
remind
though.
people real quick.
Uh-huh.
Body Butter Bakery, 50% off is the code tonight. Wellness is the code. Wellness is the code for Body Butter Bakery, 50% off until midnight tonight, or whenever Kim goes to sleep, which is probably later than that.
Yo, I do got a funny story about that and how I knew my daughter was getting older.
What's that?
Because normally, like, she would just go to the bathroom and I would be there, and then she started kicking me out the bathroom. And then one time I was like getting her ready to go to take a bath. So I'm telling her to go take a bath, and I'm like, Ty, make sure you wash your coop. Right? And she's like, Dad, Mom says it's a vagina. And I was like, all right, babe. Make sure you wash your vagina then.
Hi.
Hey, right on time, because after that story.
Hey. Yeah. Okay. I'm just, yeah.
No. We're good. We're getting tuned up. So the reason I set up the show this way, the most serious issue, the war. Then we get into a really contemporary issue, COVID, either on the decline or what have you. And we also have fibroids. And now we can, like, now that we have our health and we're all good, let's
Got the
talk
seriousness out the way.
let's talk
Let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about you.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Let's see if I learned some things.
this is Shae Alexander, correct?
Hi.
And she is our
Mhm.
I won't say resident because I don't know if she'll come back, but she is a sex educator, also a relationship counselor, and you have a website called, is it Shae is Love? No, Shae is Love is your handle. We have two handles, don't you? You have a backup handle and you have the Shae is Love handle. I was wondering why you had two handles.
Yeah, so for a lot of Black content creators, especially when you do anything around sex education or sex work, they do flag a lot of our pages.
Haters.
Yeah, they do. So I've been shadow banned before, and it's unfortunate, but we do support each other a lot. So we try to make sure that not only setting up backup pages, but if y'all follow this page, follow my backup page as well. I love what I do, and I love the where you guys left off on the last conversation. I was listening like, man, I'm a Black woman. So, when it comes to fibroids, things like that, these are conversations I'm having with women. These are conversations I'm having with women in my family. And in relation to even pleasure and sex, sometimes if you're experiencing pain, when you're having sex, you don't necessarily always know why. And sometimes that's a reason.
Now, you are in San Francisco or thereabouts?
Yes, I'm located in San Francisco, and I didn't say my website. So my website is www.shaedaily.com.
Shae Daily. That's SHAE. Shae, SHAE Daily, DAILY.com. Sometimes we have a tough time spelling here, and we'll keep repeating that throughout the night. But from ShaeDaily.com, again, is Shae Alexander. Shae, that's Ty. And you know us from Ready to Love, the
How you
DC
doing,
season.
Shae?
Hey.
And Shae is lovely, and she also has some events I think that are coming up in March, and we'll get to those as well. But I did a little trolling, but it was research because you're on the show. You're coming on the show, right? No, well, you're not coming on the show. That's another entendre. But you said sex isn't always perfect. Perfect is boring anyway. Try something new and not so perfect.
Yes.
Can you dig into that?
Oh, yes. So for obvious reasons, right? When we say sex isn't perfect, perfect is boring, right? If you're doing the same thing over and over again because you think you've mastered something, you master that one move, so now you're doing the perfect missionary, you don't want to change it. You might be scared because you're afraid that you might mess up. I think that the idea of perfection puts people in this headspace of performance anxiety a lot of the times. So we're so worried about performing that we're not prioritizing pleasure. And I think that that's one of the contributions to the orgasm gap between men and women.
I don't know why Ty is like oiling up.
No, I'm
while
getting
we're
warmed
talking
up.
all
I'm
of
getting
it.
warmed
You're
up
getting warmed up.
because
You about to slide your ass right out of the damn building, putting on all that body butter on. But
no, I mean we have these conversations a lot, and the thing that's I don't want to say it's weird is that my siblings and even my mom, we have always been very open about having conversations about sex. So I'm not even worried, not even bothered right now. I do have some questions
go
because you
for it.
have mentioned orgasms, and I just want to try to ensure that my advice for women in orgasms is right. What would you say is the primary reason that women are not having orgasms?
I think it's two reasons. I think that women are not prioritizing their pleasure. It's the ideology that for such a long time throughout history, like the woman's body has always been a vessel. It's been for the pleasure of her husband or for birthing children. So we haven't really ever had a time in history, maybe what the 60s a little bit, right? When people were doing drugs, right? If it was drug related, people were probably
Well,
having pleasurable sex.
the word of the show is frolic. Dr. Walters put in frolic, and it's Mardi Gras, so you know frolic is the word. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
I
Go
love
ahead, I'm
Mardi
sorry.
Gras and I love to frolic. So hey, no. Yeah, so you know, right now we're in a time for the very first time that I can look throughout history for Black women where we're exploring our sexuality in a very different way, right? There's no guidebook, there's no rule book, and what that says is you can either be a prude, don't go experience anything because no one's gonna want you, and if you do go experience things, you're a whore. So then there's this fear that women have of actually getting to know themselves sexually, whether it's with one partner that they feel safe with and the relationship is not traditional, or if it's the church shaming them out of masturbation. So women are not even exploring their bodies enough to say, well, this is what I like, and let me also be a good communicator and tell my partner, like, hey, babe, like, we should try this or we should do that, right? And then last but not least, I won't go too long, but being afraid of how our partners are going to react, right? Like, you're like, I don't want to tell my partner that he might not be that good. You know, is he going to be upset? You know, every now and again, we like to, you know, make sure we stroke the man's ego and telling him he's not that great in bed is not the most positive thing to say, but I actually have a tool on how you can do that.
Oh, well, let's get into that in a little bit, but I want to back up for a second before we get deep into this. How does one become a sex educator? What was inside of you to say, you know, I want to talk about and become a sex educator? How do you have training? Like, because you give classes and things, you have courses, right?
Yes.
You do all of that. So let's talk about your evolution into what you are now as a content creator, but also a sex educator and a relationship counselor or spokesperson.
Yeah. So, for most programs, you do not need a degree, but because I'm working on ASEC certification, I do have to have a degree. I have to go through a 2-year training program, and then I have to do 4,000 hours of work, which is a lot. And that's so I can be ASEC certified. ASEC certification for me, we talk about it a lot as Black sex educators. Like, you know, do we need the degrees to be valid? We love what we do. We have a passion for it, especially for us, right? Like, we want to prioritize healthy conversations and healthy relationships between Black men and women, both in and outside of the bedroom. And that desire for me has always been there. Like going to school for communications. Shout out to my HBCU. I'm a Dillard girl.
Dillard.
Yeah, I'm a Dillard girl.
Okay, cool.
So when I was studying in undergrad, I knew I wanted to do something. Went in pre-med, ended up changing my major to business, thought that was my thing, and then I found myself in the world of communications. I love to write, I love to talk about people, and it included a lot of research. So I remember my professor said, write about what you love, and I'll teach you the rest. And I was so afraid to turn in papers talking about sex. I just kept it all about like relationships and statistics and marriage rates. And I kept the fluff pieces and I never dove into sex on the forefront. But I used to be up all night studying and researching, watching sex documentaries. And, you know, I just got to a point in my life where I was like, I don't want to hide anymore. I want to talk about what I love and I want to help people become more comfortable talking about it too. Why are we having sex more than we're talking about it? That doesn't really make sense to me. So
Do you find that what you do or what's really important for you, particularly for women, I mean, I'm sure you're for men and women, but for women is to find a way to get women to be encouraged to talk about these things? Like, I find women need someone like you because they don't know how to express or where to go or how to navigate these waters because they either told that they focus on sex too much, they could be a freak, or that they are too critical or whatever. How do you give women confidence with what you do? Or is it just giving tools and that's where they get the confidence?
yeah, so I give them tools and resources, but when they reach out to me, I'm very open, I'm non-judgmental, I'm someone who they can relate to. So when Black women come to me, they see themselves. So there's already a certain level of comfort. And then here I come with my expertise. Here I am having the conversations publicly almost for them, right? And I'm speaking on behalf of someone that looks like them. And it's funny, you said the freak thing, right? They're like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be a freak. You know, I want to make sure I get a husband.
Mm-hmm.
My mentor is her and her husband work in the field. They've been married for 20 years. And she's the first person that's going to tell you, be a hoe for your husband, okay? Be a hoe for your man. So, you know, it's really important for me to like.
Can you
really
repeat that,
encourage
please?
women.
I'm about to put that in. I'm about to pin that into the comments right after
Hashtag.
bodybutterbakery.com. 50% off is the code wellness until midnight tonight, and be a hoe for your man. Go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing, right? Like, again, not only are we having sex that we're not talking about, we're having sex that we're not enjoying. Why are we
doing this?
Yeah,
Right.
why are we doing this? I think it's important, right? Women right now, so we're always studying. And there are some studies that say there's 14 to 17 different ways a woman can orgasm. I
believe it.
personally attest to 7, right? And so because of that, we'll get into that. So because of that,
Yeah, I'm about
when
to
I
write
hear
that down.
women
7.
when I hear women say they don't experience orgasm at all, I feel kind of sad for them because I'm like, you know, I know men like to please. You know, I know plenty of men who, when they have an issue or a problem, even when they're afraid to talk about it, they still have a desire to please their partners. So there's all this desire, but no communication.
Ty, you want to get in this?
I have so many questions and comments. I don't even know where to start.
How about this? Let's start with let's start with this piece that we did start on earlier. Telling your man or woman, your mate, that you're not feeling this. How do you get to that point? And how do you begin to say, this is what I want, and describe what you want without coming off a certain way?
Yeah. So in corporate America, we call it a sandwich. When you do an email, you make a sandwich.
The compliment sandwich. Yeah, the compliment sandwich. Yes.
You use the same method, right? So what that looks like, and I'll give an example. I'll say, hey, babe, how you doing? Remember that thing we was doing last night?
Yeah, what's wrong with it?
It was good. It was good. You know, when you touch me right there, I like that.
Yeah, that's cool.
But next time, can we try this instead of that other part? Because I didn't really like that.
Oh, you didn't like that?
No, I didn't like it.
I didn't know.
Yeah. But you know that other thing? Let's do that again. Because that right there, that's going to make me go off.
So I should do more of that thing then.
Yeah.
Insane.
Yeah. Yes.
Bravo, bravo. I don't know why Major Man seems stupid.
Did that help? Did that help?
That's
And-
well
and-
done. That's
And
well
as a
done.
man, if you were in a position where you needed that correction and you didn't know that you were doing something your partner didn't like, but she came in and she presented it like that, would in your mind remember the first and the last thing she said the most? She said it twice, she complimented you. Now you're gonna focus on that. Well, let me keep doing that. You keep telling someone they're wrong, they're doing this, they're doing that, but you don't give them a solution. You don't give them something else to try, even when you're trying something new, right? Let's try something new. Let's do that. You want to try something new?
She is a handful. This is Shae Alexander. We call her Shae. Shae Alexander. Shae is love is her handle. And she's out of San Francisco. And she's also dabbling into some other things that we'll get into even further. But we have plenty of time to keep asking more questions. Tyrone, are you okay over there?
Yeah, I mean, I'm good. I guess I can just speak to how I handle things personally. Like, I'm always for open communication, right? And I like having these conversations before we even get there, right? I'm also very attentive to, and I'm also very, what's the word I'm looking for? Unselfish to a fault. But then I feel like once you mature, you start to pay attention. Well, you should be paying attention to verbal and nonverbal cues that your mate is giving you during sex and even before sex. So you should have a pretty good idea of what works and what doesn't work. But I'm also all for, telling me what's not working, like even if it's in the moment, right? Like there's no need to be there for 10, 15 minutes if I'm in the wrong spot, right? I'm okay. Like I'm cool with it. I don't take nothing to heart. You know what I mean? I'm here for you.
So I love that you said you're open to communication because
Mhm.
one thing that I always say is good lovers are created outside of the bedroom. So being attentive, being a good communicator, not being afraid to, take that criticism. And I think that for a lot of people in that where we need to give that grace for this idea of perfection in sex is I've known my body for, 29 years. This person that I've been dating has only known me for maybe 6 months, maybe a year. I have to give my partner time. I have to give my partner time to get to know my body. And so I think that that's something that we have to acknowledge when we put these expectations on ourselves and on our partners. We shouldn't go into it assuming that, oh yeah, so I'm just about to do this and it's going to be great and I'm just going to put it on her like this. It's like, no, let me learn my partner and let me
Yeah.
also teach my partner my body. So I think that when you're prioritizing pleasure, that's what it looks like, saying, well, if I want the pleasure to be good for her, let me figure out what she likes and what makes her feel good. And I think women should also do the same.
Another question. Do you think that you can be desensitized and can you recover from that?
Yes and yes. But the way
Okay.
when you become desensitized, it happens a very specific way. It happens because you're doing the same thing over and over and over again. So if you add variety into something, then you don't become as desensitized. So for example, masturbation. If you're doing the same thing over and over and over again, that thing is less likely to work when you involve a partner. But if you keep it, just kind of switch it up. And it's important for you to switch it up. So if we're talking about self-pleasing, right? Try new things with yourself. Because how are you going to try new things with your partner to reach those different peaks and those different, heights of pleasure if you continue to do the same thing?
Now, is that an open conversation with your partner? Like, especially if you live together, it's like, hey, baby, let me try to do something real quick. I'm just having a session, a discovery session. You know how I do. You go out and hang out with the boys and get a drink, and then maybe I'll be ready to go. Yeah, Kim is taking notes. By the way,
Yes.
Kim is our sponsor, by the way. It's bodybutterbakery.com, 50% off. The code is wellness until midnight tonight. And yes, is that how you do it? You just basically be open and say, look, why are you laughing, Ty? What the?
No, I was laughing because, I just put it in the comments. I'm laughing because, I was deployed twice. And she was saying, get to know yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So you got
I had over 700 days to.
He
So
counted the days. Go ahead, Shae.
so there's ways you can do it, right? But
Mhm.
and I have some of my tools here, so we'll get to that in a minute, okay? I
Mhm.
brought some fun stuff for you.
She brought props.
Yes,
Yo,
I
and
did.
and the other thing is, I was no lie, I might have been 14, 15 years old. I was in the house by myself, just me and my father. My father throws this magazine at me. He says, "I'm about to go to the store, get to know yourself," and walks
Yeah,
out.
absolutely.
I think we should do a
Absolutely.
Best day of
whole.
my life.
We could get your sister on, and
No,
you
I'm
Yeah.
joking.
and your sister just do a whole show on your dad.
Oh man, yo, that
So
dude.
Yeah, I
I
know,
so I
right?
do want to talk about someone says I
Yes.
think knowing yourself too much, knowing yourself ain't good. Too much knowing yourself isn't good. That's not true. That's not true at all because you also don't do all of the self-discovery on your own. So what we like to call it, I call it body exploration. My mentor calls it body mapping, right? So you body map with your partner and sometimes you body map with yourself. So this gives you both the opportunity to not only get to know yourselves, but get to know each other. So if
Body
y'all
mapping.
yeah,
So,
body
oh,
mapping.
okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry to
Okay.
interrupt. That's interesting. That's a great
So
term, body mapping.
So one of the things that I do is I talk about creating intimacy through the senses, right? So what that looks like is you think about the senses: sight, smell, touch, hearing, taste. So different erogenous zones, can fall within all of the senses. And so let's say we take away, I don't know, sight, right? So I have these blindfolds, and I'm gonna do a shameless plug. So if you're open to it and you're open to tying up your partner or blindfolding them, you're now taking away two senses. They can't touch or they can't see. So now we're gonna heighten everything else. So let's say you take the blindfold, you put it around your partner, takes away a little bit of the nerves, right? Because for me, if I'm a little shy about something, I'm like, okay, let me put the blindfold on, so I'm a little less shy. Like it's kinky, and it's also a way to get over my own nerves. So then what that looks like is I'll take something like my ostrich feather.
I got one of them.
Yeah, they're nice.
I got one of them.
They're nice.
They
So
they got straps for like $25 on Amazon.
yeah, I
For
mean,
real too.
and they're worth it, right? And the reason why is
Yeah.
because let's say you take a hot spot that they like. They like to be kissed or sucked on their neck. Now we're gonna try something different. We're gonna try a caress. So you're gonna take the feather and you take it behind the ear and you bring it down, right? Now you're allowing yourself or your partner to experience something completely different. It's not their hands, it's not their mouth. It's like, okay, wait, that's a different touch. Like, oh, okay, right? And so for people who don't like, softer touches or they're really ticklish, because I know there are some people who are like, I just can't do it. That's fine. Because I have something on the opposite end of the spectrum, which is called a pinwheel. You guys know what this is?
It looks like a very dangerous 1950s dental tool.
It looks like it would make all of your senses like
Is that a skin tickler?
go crazy
Yeah.
because it's probably similar to the ostrich feather, but just
I'm not
a
gonna lie.
little more
I'm not gonna
more
lie to you,
solid.
Shae. That looks like a torture instrument.
Yo, for
So
anyone who don't have an ostrich feather, go get yourself an ostrich
Are
feather.
you on the?
yeah.
She got something else on her hand now.
No, that's cool. That's cool.
So I see a few people saying taking notes for my future men. Y'all have not even seen the ways that you can use this with your man. I got some stuff. Look.
What is it, Shae? So what is
I'm not. No, I'm not gonna go there. I'm not gonna go there.
What?
Y'all.
What?
Can I tell you something? Let me be honest. If I do too much on the live,
That's
they'll
true.
shut it down. They'll do it because we're Black content creators. They don't care. They'll shut it down. So y'all do have to slide in the DMs. Slide in the DMs. So for
That's how I got her on the show. Slid in the DMs. That's
So
true though.
with the pinwheel, right? So it was originally created as a medical device, and it was created for the nerve ending. So right, like making sure people could feel in certain things. How did it feel? But the good thing about this, when it comes to exploring it in the bedroom, is because it's that nice teeter-totter between pleasure and pain, depending on how much pressure you apply, and depending on where you apply the pressure to. So I'll let y'all get creative with that one because I've definitely come up with some activities that are very creative that will make people, I'm just saying,
What's the name of that?
Pinwheel. And I have the pinwheels, the feathers, and the blindfolds all on my website. You guys can click the link in my bio.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any
Okay.
questions?
Okay, so there's
ShaeDaily.com.
theshaedaily.com. Yeah,
www.shaedaily.com.
Shae Daily. Yeah. So we got we got tools that we can
Oh,
use.
Yes.
We got the taking away of senses, so you heighten the other senses, right? So that adds a little drama to the actual act of sex, and the encouragement of knowing yourself and pleasuring yourself. Although I'm still seeing comments from some people saying if you know yourself too much, then you're not gonna. I think some of y'all are missing what she's saying. I think she's saying you can know what you like, and you could also switch things up a little differently if you do things differently. Is that right, Shae?
Yeah,
I mean, like,
absolutely.
there's no such
Yeah.
thing as knowing yourself too much.
There is no
According to
such
you.
thing as knowing yourself too much. I think that if you reach a peak where you stop exploring yourself, then things can become very mundane. I mean, I look at the married people around me. I look at my mentor I said earlier. She's been married for 20 years, and her husband are very open about their great spicy sex life. And I'm like, I want a great spicy sex life with my husband too. So that requires us constantly getting to know ourselves, constantly getting to know our partners. I mean, unless you're a little more open, like, people that I also know that are in different communities, and you are part of the polyam community, and now what that exploration looks like is with other partners.
Now, that's a perfect segue because you have done you have a polyam thing coming up, don't you? Like, what's
I do. So next month I will be in New York. For anyone who is, out there and want to link up or come say hey, I'll be doing demonstrations on 8 at the Table. If you guys are not familiar with that, it's the number.
wait a minute. It's the number 8? It's not
Yeah.
ATE. Okay.
Yeah, it's the number 8 at the Table. I'll be on the show next month, doing my demonstrations. More so for the fellas, because we want to make sure we, show y'all how we want to please y'all too. And then in May, I'll be in Houston, Texas for Polypalooza.
Polypalooza. Now, tell us about the
Mhm.
polyamorous thing.
Yeah.
Are you big into polyamory yourself, or are you just go ahead, you talk.
Yeah.
I'm just,
Yeah. So
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
polyexplorative. And
Polyexplorative.
yes. And what that means, and for anyone who was curious about the lifestyle, right? You could be poly-curious, where you're educating yourself, you're not actively engaging or actively involved in dating in the polyamory world, but you are curious and educating yourself. That is poly-curious. Poly-explorative is when you're actively dating in the polyamorous world, right? So for me, what that looks like is I'm a monogamous woman who is open to dating both polyam and monogamous men. So so long as we do not compromise character, because that is a big thing for me. If you're a good man, you are a good man. If you are monogamous and you're a good man, great. If you're a good man, but you just so happen to be, polyam, 1 or 2 wives, that's fine as well.
What's the difference between being polyamorous and just a guy or girl that sleeps with a lot of people? Is there much difference?
Yeah, it's a love style. So for polyamorous people, they have a love style. So there's an investment there. There's an investment in the relationship. It's not casual sex. You're actually actively invested in the people who you are in relationships with.
Commitment.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just bought everything on the website.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
In case I may need it later at some
I
point
got you.
of my life.
Ty, I'm gonna give you the calm. I gotta make myself a drink. This is awesome.
Ooh.
Okay, yeah, so we have these questions. I have female friends that have. All right, so I don't even know where to start. So I guess a really good thing happened to me maybe 2 years ago. I actually went to a class from a friend that is very similar to some of the things that you're doing right now. And she was very, very straight up about it. And I'm probably talking too much, but she was like, hey, so do you want to learn about the woman's vagina? And I was
Yes.
like,
Yes. Yeah.
sure.
Mm-hmm.
And believe it or not, she was like, don't be alarmed. This is what I do in class. And she just laid spread eagle and taught me some things about times and outside time and inside time and knowing a woman's time on her
Mm-hmm.
vagina. Like if you look at it like it's a clock,
Mm-hmm.
right? so I can educate some of y'all. If y'all look at it like it's a clock, most women have a particular time that they like when it comes to stimulation. So if you can learn what her time is, then you can use that to your advantage. Then we started learning about energy and how to pay attention to energy and master energy. Then it got to a point to getting a woman to orgasm just off of energy.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, probably talking too much.
No,
But yeah,
not
but
at
it
all.
was really good. It was really eye-opening, very, very educational. You know, as a young man, you know, you're taught to just kill it every single time. Don't matter what hole it is, right? But as you grow up, you learn that you're not in the pain business, right? You're in the pleasure business. And you also learn as you get older to have that emotional maturity. So when you're in that moment, you can take a step back in that moment and be like, hey, this moment is not for me right
Yeah.
now. Let me start paying attention to her and start listening to how she's communicating with me verbally and not verbally. And it can be amazing if you want it to be amazing. The other thing was I have women friends that have not orgasmed. So we're trying to figure out why that is the case. Either they don't trust themselves, or they don't trust the man, or they really just don't like the man, or sometimes they don't want to let loose, or they get to a point to where they think something's going to happen, but because it's new, because it's weird, they hold back a little bit. And as a dude, you got to be like, yo, let that shit go. Like, I don't care about these sheets. I don't care about this bed. I don't care if you scream. You know what I mean? It's what we're here for. We're here for the experience, you know, not necessarily for this moment of pleasure, right? So it's more than just about the physical, right? You're supposed to add an emotion to the experience.
Yeah.
All right.
I think that for male partners, it's important for like you to give that assurance, right? That reassurance. But something that I really think that people have to kind of wrap our minds around is that sex can be good without an orgasm. Like we don't have to pressure
Yes.
ourselves into, you know, always reaching the big O every time. Again, women have a lot of different ways they can orgasm. Men also can orgasm in different ways. That is so exciting. It's pretty fun, I'll say that. Just like, you know, Ty said, there are ways you can orgasm without penetration, you know, via energy or via the tools, right, that I have. So there are a lot of different ways to experience pleasure, but we just get so caught up in the idea of like, it has to be this way, it has to be that way. Edging is a beautiful thing. Edging is beautiful sexual experiences that does not require orgasm. And the sex will still be great. What it does is it'll allow the man to last longer. And then for the women who are
You're about to ask.
experiencing
Sean's about to ask.
yeah, what is edging?
He's about to ask.
Yeah.
Yes, I am.
That's
Yeah.
right.
What is edging?
Yes.
I understand it's a term. It's a clinical term. But what is edging? I got a feeling what it is, but I would like for you to tell us.
Yeah. So edging is the experience of building up to your orgasmic peak and not releasing. You actually just hold it there and then you gradually let go.
God, I find that I think I've done that not on a technical level. I've done that so many times where it's like it becomes painful because like, you know, it's like, man, I missed my turn. You know, like when you're driving, like, man, I missed that turn. And I'm never gonna get to that turn again. And
so I
then
wouldn't say
so maybe because
every
I'm
day.
focusing. No, I'm not trying to practice it every day, but I'm saying like there are times where it can be frustrating because maybe it's going back to your point. So many people think you need the orgasm to say, boy, that was great.
Yeah.
Because there's many times I've not had the O, and women would get pissed off. But I'll tell them, no, I enjoyed it. I'm like, sometimes it's just that way, and they don't like that answer. So. Yeah,
so I want to say thank you to everyone in the comments who have been engaging. I love meeting new people. I love meeting people who are not afraid to be open and listen and, you know, engage in conversations about, you know, really Black sexuality, something that we've never really had a safe space to explore amongst each other. And that's why the people in my circle, everybody's Black. I'm open to working with everybody, but there is a priority for us to have this experience in the way that we want to experience, our bodies belonging to us and our bodies being for pleasure for us, not for anybody else, right? But I do want to uniquely share, he says, so many Black women have gone through sexual trauma and haven't healed from it. And they don't realize that trauma blocks them from just enjoying sex also. Absolutely. And amongst me and some of my peers, we do work through sexual trauma as well. So that is work that I do.
So there's a therapy piece clearly to this as well. Like you got to be open and you got to unpack some of your other traumas and things before you can try to experience this stuff, in the way that you're saying is possible.
Yeah, and I don't want to leave the men out either, because just because it doesn't look the same, right, the way that they might express that trauma doesn't mean that Black men are not also experiencing that trauma. We're both equally experiencing trauma. So I think that it's important, again, for us to have these conversations and for us to not leave each other out of some spaces, because again, we'll come with all these problems and then we'll have no solution. So that's we're heavily based, and I'm heavily based in being solution oriented and providing resources for us to experience pleasure.
As we do every 5 minutes. Todd, what are you laughing at?
Jay left a comment, but I was going to talk about the edging. So I have a friend that has gotten to a point to where she can orgasm just by thinking about it. But she also practices edging, because she would say when it does happen, like, I want it to be amazing, right? So she would just get there, hold off, bring herself back there, hold off, bring herself back there, hold off. And there's a lot of people that need some type of visual stimulation, or they need a sound stimulation, video in the background. They need some type of extra kink to get them over the hump. And I admire those people who don't need that. Folks that can just think about it and like get themselves off, because that ain't me. Like she was talking about getting kicked off, like, because sometimes I get worried about, how much is too much to talk about.
I think we're okay right now. I think we're in a good zone.
All right. Hey, it's your live. It's your live, not mine.
It is my live, but it ain't too spicy. I think we've been pretty mature.
But I think it's good to experiment, right? I think it's good to, be mature about what you like and what you don't like. Understand what your boundaries are. Be truthful about your boundaries, and I think that's good, right? Especially at the beginning.
Another round says, "Bless your thoughts. I wish it was somewhat that easy," and I think that's the point of the classes,
the conversation,
it's not just, hey, I'm just going to do this tomorrow. It's a holistic approach to being a different person. It's not just sex. Is that right, Shae? What would you say to that?
Yeah. So my education is in the holistic approach to sex education, and I will say, if you are someone who does desire to have these kind of orgasms, you missed out on a really good discussion that we hosted about fantasies and erotic talk, right? Dirty talk. And just what that looks like for you. Like, how do you want to be talked to? How do you want to be touched? Because now you're like in your own head imagining all of these different erotic things that you might enjoy, and you might find yourself feeling things that you've never felt before. I mean, I'm not really sure how it goes for you guys. I don't know you personally or in that way, but when you guys are having thoughts or things are on your mind, I could imagine that it's not just the thought, the penis. Sometimes if it's a running thought, maybe it's a woman you're anticipating. It's like, the thoughts are running through everything you want to do to this person. And those things do bring pleasurable thoughts, pleasurable feelings. Somebody said IG just flagged a previous comment.
Yeah, I got 2 questions or comments, but I kind of want to rank them.
So
one's a little bit.
Can I say this really quick?
Go ahead,
just because I don't want to get anybody in trouble, right? So like, it's y'all live, right? If you guys have questions, put it in that question bubble. That way it won't flag the comments. Or if it's a comment and it's a little bit spicy, put it in the question bubble. Yeah, we got to figure out ways to just to live, just to do what I love.
That's an experienced woman right there.
One question or statement, well, actually 2 of them. One question or statement was, it was about the level of emotional maturity of your mate. And what I'm finding is there are women. I always deal with women, but I most, I'm sure there are men out there that are afraid to be like their true selves out of fear of what their mate may think of them. To be like, oh, how you learn how to do this, right? Where if you're mature about it, you could be like, oh, I'm happy that you were able to learn how to do that and explore how to do that because now that you're with me, it can be great.
Yeah, experiences picked up
What,
along the way.
yeah, what is your advice for people who may be thinking that?
Yeah, I think that for anyone who has that shame or that fear that, you know, their partner is gonna think less of them because they have what they believe is to be more experience. Everything is subjective, so you don't even have to go into it carrying that shame or that pressure, because at the end of the day, if your desire is to please your partner, then you let them know that. You can communicate, hey, look, I want to make you feel good. So I want to do things that make you feel good. I want to do things that I want to explore with you. And you can also tell me things that you like. Because then it becomes a collective experience versus what we hear a lot, you know, I'm going to put it on you. Like, it's just such an ego thing. And so we have to sometimes set our egos aside if we do want to have those erotic, you know, holistic, tantric, sexual experiences.
I feel what's really.
One more thing.
Go
Okay,
ahead. Go ahead.
Sean.
No, get in there, Ty. I'll say my because it's a little bit of a rant.
So
go
one more
ahead.
thing, and then I'll take a little break.
He's got so many questions.
So the other
spinning
thing
around.
is, and it's merely just to educate the masses, right? That's why I'm asking these questions. So like once you reach like, I guess you could call it a certain freak level, right? Is it normal to find difficulty going backwards?
Do you go backwards?
Like if your freak level is like 8, 9, right? But you're experiencing a series of 4s and 5s, even though it may be great,
Are you
may not.
hiding out in a nunnery? What happened? Like what?
You know what I'm saying, right, Shae?
I
You know
do.
what I'm saying.
I
I know what you're saying. I'm being silly. I'm giving you something for it, but just say it. Like, all right, go ahead. Finish your question. I'm being stupid. Go ahead.
So I think it depends, right? I think that for some people they may feel like, you know, I did the adventurous thing. And sometimes it's not even that we like it and we're freaky and we like it. Sometimes we just like the thrill of it, right? We like that it was a little bit different. We didn't necessarily like it, but just because it was a little thrilling. So that could take our freak level up, right? Because we were just so open to trying something new. So for some people, you know, they may say the 4 and a 5 really is good. I'm just on an 8 or a 9 because I tried some things. But I will say, for people who reach the 8 and the 9 and the 10, and then when you break in the meter, if you really like
Omega
that
level
space,
sex. Yeah, Omega level.
if you really like that space, I would encourage you to be honest with yourself about liking that space. Be honest with your partners about liking those spaces, because sexual compatibility is also really important. And the last thing you want to do is find yourself in a situation where there is someone that likes to be on a 4 or a 5, and you guys are in a monogamous relationship, and now you guys are not sexually compatible, and someone's not happy, right? Because they want to experience sex on the level of an 8 or a 9. So I think that first being honest with yourself and then being honest with your partners about the things that you like sexually. I do not hesitate to ever have that conversation with people that I'm dating. One of the ways that I would encourage people to kind of figure out what they like is, one, slide in the DMs, because I have a ton of different things. But just for the moment, if you Google the BDSM test, it'll actually kind of break down some of your kinks, right? Like if you are a kinky person, or if you're a little bit more on the vanilla side, if you're more submissive, if you're more dominant, if you're into voyeurism, right? You like to watch people experience pleasure, or do you like to be an exhibitionist? Do you like to be watched sexually? So I would encourage you to get to know where your level is, be honest with yourself, and be honest with your partner.
Ooh, Libertine. I gotta hit this post real quick, Ty. We are right at the top of the hour. It's 10 o'clock here, and we're here with Shae Alexander. That's formerly Miss LaShae Alexander of Shae, www.shaedaily.com. She is a sex educator. She is, in many ways, I think you're a life coach, because if you get people to receive one aspect of their life, that is changing their whole view on other aspects of their life. She also does course levels. She does seminars. She's a fantastic person, and she's been wonderful to give us time here. And what also turns me on is when I see a woman with shiny legs. And we're here sponsored by Body Butter Bakery. And Body Butter Bakery, 50% off. Ty just bought a trough of Body Butter Bakery. He's got it right there. He's been lotioning himself up. He lotioned himself up to get ready for this segment during the live. And he's dropping the shit right now, so he's got to buy some more. Thankfully, there's a 50% off code that he can use tonight.
Yes.
It's tagged in my comments. Bodybutterbakery.com, 50% off. The code is wellness. As this
And I
was sort
bought everything off of Shae's website too. Everything.
He did. He bought the tickler,
the pinwheel,
and the feather, right?
the blindfold,
and
the feather.
And I think he tried to buy Shae, but she ain't for sale.
Come on,
He
man.
can buy a coaching session.
I thought you were gonna say he could buy a Coach bag.
We should all take that test together at the same time and then put our results.
I don't know if I want to do things around this subject at the same time. but Shae is in San Francisco in the Bay Area, and she's a lovely chocolate woman. And if I'm correct, because I did a lot of snooping, you're a Sagittarius?
I am a Sagittarius.
Yeah. So welcome, the Archers.
Yo, I do have a slight plug. Frank from our show does have a sex talk podcast that we're supposed to be on.
Ooh.
Called Talk. It's called Talk Normal to Me, because these should be normal conversations, just like how I'd like to talk about mental health. I don't think there's anything wrong with it, honestly.
Yeah,
It's an interesting format.
I don't either. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. And that's why I was so okay with coming to do the show, because I'm like, first of all, these are men that are saying they're black men who love black women, who want to learn, who want to grow, who want to be better people. I was like, okay, y'all ain't saying nothing but a word. I was like, okay, I'm there. I'm there.
Well, let me formally ask you, can you stick around for a few more minutes? We're running over on time, but what we often do is do a live, but I don't want to close down the formal show just yet. Ask you a few more actual questions. I do my essay, and then we wrap it up, but I'm not going to keep you too long. But if you can stick around a little bit longer, because I do see a bunch of questions popping into the box. As a beautiful woman in the Bay Area doing this type of work, and you love black men, what do brothers say usually when they find out what you do? If we make this a little personal.
So I haven't been doing it out loud for very long. Mm-hmm. But even when I wasn't doing it on social media, I was still very much, active and honest about, what's the last book you read? The Spirit of Intimacy, right? What's the last documentary you watched? Something, love, sex, and goop, right? Like, I'm always very honest about, like, what my passions are. I find that men try to... It kind of touches the ego a little bit, because they try to kind of prove themselves. Well, I know about sex, and because I love sex, and I'm like, oh well, okay, so yeah, I was watching this documentary, and they were exploring the ways in which our childhood traumas show up in the bedroom. Do you have any thoughts about that? So it's like, they come at it from like, oh, she's a sex educator. Okay, let's talk about sex, and I'm like, oh yes, let's talk about sex. Have you read this book yet?
What's that book?
Erotic Integrity.
Ooh.
Right? Like,
Nope.
I'm asking questions. Yeah, I have a whole book list, y'all. We can talk about it on the back end.
Well, yeah, we can, but I do want to say this. As the featured guest of the show, Shae will receive a hardcover copy of Broke, my novel, written by me, with men in mind who struggle with not only sex, but life and all these other things. But I think she'll get a kick out of it if she indulges in that sort of thing. So I'll send you a signed copy. Brothers are trying too hard often when they hear a woman dabbles in sex in conversation for her work.
Yes, yes, they do. And one thing I could appreciate about that approach a little bit more than the insecurity or being real insecure about what I do, they let the ego take over. And I'm like, okay, I'll meet you where you at.
What type of guys does Shae like?
I like...
Go ahead.
Number one is patience.
Mm-hmm.
I love a patient man. I love a man of character and integrity. I like an honest man. I like a man that can communicate well. And I love a man that loves his family. Family is really important to me. And when I say family, I mean for real. Like community. How do you treat your friends? What do they say about you? How do you feel about yourself? What is your investment and your commitment in yourself look like? You know what I'm saying? I like a man.
God damn, sounds like that Tyrone guy.
The one that Erica Badu was talking about? Who the hell are you talking about, Tyrone?
I just ordered the book too. I just ordered that book.
It's a good one.
Ty is ordering everything that he sees come across this.
I support.
It's good.
Yeah.
This is this is a book for the women in your life that you know that are not having orgasms. This is a good book.
What's the name of that book again, Shae?
Erotic Integrity.
Erotic Integrity. That means there's something written in cursive on the title.
Yeah.
Something's written in cursive somewhere. Yeah, it's that type of book. There's cursive writing. So here's what we're gonna do. I think this is a good point to like stop the actual formal show. If everybody want to stick around for the live, Shae, please stick around if you like to do that.
Yeah.
And we might even bring. And Barbara said that Dr. Walker said she might even pop in and answer some more questions if you all have questions about that. This was indeed a backdoor, no puns intended, please, a backdoor Women's History Month celebration show.
Yeah.
Just because I talked about the war doesn't mean that women can't understand the war, because women are 53% of the population. So there you have it. But I did want to do something that spoke to the whole thing of, you know, you all have not just a voice, you have the voice. You're the mothers, you're the doctors, you're the lawyers, you're the ones that keep us upright, especially if you're talking about Black men and women. I'm going to do a little housekeeping here. I'm going to read my Shawn Says, and then we're going to wrap it up. And then on the other side, the live will keep going. So if you want to stick around, please do so. Follow me on YouTube at Shawn Durham. I need a few more followers. I'm following you guys here. And you can follow me and Tyrone. Ty is at Ty Wilson 21. I'm at Shawn Durham Inc. And that's at Shae Is Love. And she also has an at Shae Is Love _ just in case she gets in trouble with the censors. So follow us all. Thank you so much to Kim for Body Butter Bakery. This is Shawn Says. Before I begin with Shawn Says, let's see if this thing still works, because I learned how to do something here. And I'm hoping it still does it. Oh, it may not do it with 3 people.
Oh, my bad.
What?
Is it the media thing? Are you trying to do the media
Yeah,
thing?
I was going to click on my media thing. You know how to do that? I was going to play a plug real quick.
Okay. Y'all want to? Okay. I'll hop out. Don't worry.
No. You don't have to hop out.
You sure?
Well, okay. Okay.
Yeah, because
well, okay.
I want you to be able to do your
Because it
thing.
takes 2 people. Yeah, I would like to do that and then hop back on if you please don't mind. Or just wait in queue.
Yep.
She's not going anywhere, guys. I know she's lovely and chocolate. She's not going anywhere. But we're going to do this. Shawn Says, no one do it a certain way.
Yo. No, I'm not going to say it.
Well, you can't wait to say it till I do the damn.
Jesus, go ahead. Nope.
Boy, you're silly.
Shawn Says.
Shawn Says, and it's not going to do it anyway. I don't see that button.
What were you trying to do?
Add a video to it, but it doesn't matter. So here it is. Shawn Says. Last week wasn't all bad news because this happened. Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson is welcomed and gets a long overdue addition to hopefully one of America's white institutions as being a member, hopefully, of the Supreme Court nominated by Joe Biden. And yet and still, I saw some posts. I heard some murmurs, and they were largely from Black men. Black men ready to pounce on the landmark nominees for not having a Black spouse. Now, Judge Jackson is not the first of a string of notable Black women in the Biden administration who doesn't have a Black spouse, including Vice President Kamala Harris, Susan Rice, or Linda Thomas Greenfield. But I find it freaking funny that the brothers out here throwing militant tantrums about the color of spouses who don't care who you love personally, just saying shit. Now, on a personal level, I like my coffee black, but I think fellas should shut the hell up on who Black successful women have by their side when it seems like 97% of the NBA and NFL drafts are populated by non-Black women who get their hooks into every Black stud future millionaire. I don't hear these complaints when Kanye West and Antonio Brown and Floyd Mayweather are listening to his music in a room full of white hoes, including Madonna. The fuck her old ass doing there? When the stench of Wesley Snipes professing why he doesn't want black women still hangs over his newly renaissance career. And when so many brothers who had successful black educated women as their first wife don't want anything to do with them a second time over the broom. Or when Henry Louis Gates does a famous black person's family tree when his wife is so white that she's almost clear. Same for Cornel West, or the late great Sidney Poitier, or Harry Belafonte Jr. All righteous dudes, all white women by their sides. Again, who you love is no business of mine, but brothers Jones and sisters or their spouses' colors need to shut the hell up. Look at our icons. Eddie Murphy knocked up Scary Spice, but wife's a Nordic broad. Dave Chappelle got some Filipino woman. Michael Jordan got a Cuban, or whatever the hell she is. Tiger Woods ain't even fucking with a black golf club in his hands, let alone a black woman. And while some brothers are bleaching on the spousal race of potentially 1/9 of the Supreme Court, 3/4 of the cast of the best men are white women having men. I can go on. Black women en masse throw all their time, money, and resources at black men and our issues and our entertainment. And largely, the message we send to them is that they all need white woman's hair, complexion, and passivity to make our limp dick asses feel strong in the world because we ain't going to school like them, we ain't striving like them, and we ain't protesting like them. Ketanji Brown Jackson was probably too smart for most of the few brothers in her circle. Or the brainy brothers in her circle opted to do what? Marry Muffy from Sweater Around the Neck University. Would it be nice if these accomplished sisters had brothers? Hell, fuck yeah. But I don't see accomplished black men trending towards black women when both get some clout to their name. So yeah, with all of my own complaints about them, I will cape for my sisters, at least this once, because there's a hefty price for ignorance and hypocrisy. So here's a notion: shut the fuck up is always free. And that's Shawn Says, y'all acting like some hoes. I ain't got no music. We're just gonna vibe out of that. This will be our cut point. I want to thank Ty Wilson, of course, as my wingman and suffering through my ridiculousness. I want to thank Kim, as usual. Thank Dr. Barbara Walker. Thanks Jamal Sayess for explaining the war. And of course, absolutely thank Shae. We're going to do IG overtime. Shae, hop back on here or I'll invite you. So everyone just hang out a little bit and we're going to do that. But thank you so much. And that's the end of our cut. And it's just overtime.